You going to be long?
Couldn't say, love. Down to the governor, isn't it? He's up there in a meeting.
You know you've been on this yellow line for 20 minutes?
Yeah, well, what am I supposed to do when he comes out? Tell him I got a meet at the other side of Hyde Park?
Yeah, if that's what it takes. The walk will probably do you good.
Yeah, well, you get a lot of it and ain't done you much good, has it, eh? Know what I mean?
You know the old Arab proverb? Take what you want and pay for it.
What's the matter with you? I can't help it if you look like Brezhnev.
Very, very successful meeting. A nice tip for Chepstow, too. Any spot of bother with the Cossacks?
Nah, just the usual.
Stan! Stan! God.
Don't want to spend too much time on it, so what have we got?
The dead man's name was Stan Chandler. He'd been with Harvey for about a year.
Is there any evidence to suggest he was anything other than a chauffeur? I mean, could he have been mixed up in any of Harvey's operations?
Well, there's no indication of it. Just a straight pilot.
You got in the way at the wrong time.
That's your reader?
Well, isn't it yours?
Yeah, let's face it. Harvey, on the edge of every fast shuffle in town, is bound to have made enemies. Yeah, I'd say he was a target right enough.
Pity he went wrong. Could have saved us a lot of trouble.
Still don't appreciate people using shooters on my patch. Now, Bob, I want you to pull him in, shake him, see if he rattles. Maggie, love, I want you to go see the widow.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know, but it'll come better from you. Russell. Yeah? Oh, is he? Yeah, okay. Harvey's really got the wind up. He's in the station now demanding a bulletproof policeman. Bob, go see him.
Who do I have to straighten to get some attention around here? I've just been nearly splattered all over the pavement.
Inspector Croft's on his way in to see you, sir. How's your chauffeur feeling?
He's dead, and you damn well know it. And I can do without the snide bit.
What, me, sir?
Mr. Harvey, this way. Oh, sit down, Mr. Harvey. You are a lucky man.
Lucky? If Stan hadn't stepped in front of me...
That is where the luck comes in, isn't it? I mean, would you like some coffee?
No, I don't want any coffee. I've just nearly had my head blown off in broad daylight. I don't want coffee. I want protection.
Ah, now that is where you are going to have to help us. I mean, have you any idea who it is you want to be protected against?
Well, that's not so easy, is it? I mean, if I finger somebody and it gets out...
Harvey, nothing gets out of this nick except the man who comes in to read the meter. Now, have you got any ideas or haven't you?
Well, I owe the Blue John Gambling Club a small sum. 10 grand, roulette, and they don't mess about.
You do get into some funny places,
I don't go to holes. It's a very decent ambience. The food's good, too.
And the snipers. Who owns it?
Chappie called Delvaux.
He's Australian. Used to run a penny ante dive in
Birmingham.
No. Oh, he's going up in the world.
Well, it's being funded.
Tell me, have they ever knocked over a Welsher before?
I bloody well resent that, Croft. I'm not a Welsh. I just happen to be temporarily strapped.
You could always sell the limo.
Oh, BOH, it's leased.
Harvey, if you're right about the Blue John behind this morning, your best protection will be to get out of town for a bit. However, if you're not, then we're just going to have to do some more digging into your rather murky affairs. Now, in the meantime, try to stay indoors and don't go for any early morning jogs.
You help a lot of nervous people, do you?
Here you are, come on. Sit down. Jake, make us a cup of tea, will you, love? Mrs. Chandler.
He only went out of here this morning.
I know, love. Believe me, I know exactly how you feel.
Be in touch. And if you remember anything to add to your statement, give us a bell pronto and keep your head down.
Thanks a bunch.
Aren't we being a bit heavy on him?
He's pulled a few strokes himself. We've never been able to pin on him. Ah, he is a scummy citizen, Gerald.
Thanks for coming to tell me. I know it's nobody's favourite job on the force. Well, Stan was in the job at Peckham. That's how I know. He left.
Why did he leave?
He had an affair with this PC. She was married. Valerie Knight, her name was. I had no idea. But her husband found out and he put in an official complaint. Well, you know what happens then.
Official inquiry?
Yeah. Long and short of it was they were both moved to different stations.
Why did your Stan leave the force?
Well, the whole thing seemed to shake him somehow. He felt guilty about me. Anyway, he left home and he went to live with his night woman and got a job with Gerald Harvey as his chauffeur.
When did he come back to you?
8 months ago. He came and asked. I had him back like a shot. I'd never stopped loving him. We were so happy about the baby. I can't believe it.
Here, come on. Come on, drink it. It helps. God knows why, but it does.
I'll be all right.
This policewoman, this Valerie Knight, do you know if she's still on the force?
I don't know nothing about her, and I don't want to know either. If it hadn't been
Now,
for
Mrs.
her...
Chandler... Mrs. Chandler, did Stan ever talk to you about the places he drove Harvey to? I mean, would you know, for instance, what they were doing in that particular street?
Oh, well, that would be that Lottie you used to go and see. Lottie Spencer.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she's got a flat in that big block near there.
Did Stan ever say what Harvey went there for?
Well, he never said, no.
Oh.
Be your sister, love. You're best not to be on your own.
Yes.
I'm very sorry, love. I've got to come back in a few days and go through your husband's personal effects. You understand there are still a lot more questions that I have to ask. Oh. There, love. Gee. D.I. Forbes, can I speak to Sergeant Fenton?
Jimmy. Yeah, we've just had a little chat with Mr. Harvey. It seems he owes 10,000 quid to a gambling club, the Blue John, owned by a bloke called Delvo. Now, he's putting up Delvo as #1 suspect for the shooting. Could be worth a sniff? Yeah, she's on her way in to see Bob Croft.
Right. Thanks very much, Jimmy. I'll see you later, okay? Bye. You know a club called the Blue John?
Yeah, it's off Belgrave Square. Why?
friend Harvey owes them money. I can pay him a visit.
Well, Croft's handling Harvey's end of the case. He won't be best pleased you mixing in.
Tough. Anyway, he'll be giving Lottie Spencer the third degree. Just keep him happy.
True.
Come on, let's go.
Well, we got a problem. Money. The boy can fight and he's a crowd puller. But I'm not sticking him in there for cab fare. That's right, you think about it. Very hard.
We were hoping
So what do
to
I
have
owe the pleasure?
Wanted to see a Mr. Delvaux.
Johnny's not here. Will I do?
Oh, well, Dave, we really wanted a word with the owner.
Well, in a manner of speaking, that's me. What's it about? Maggie?
Dave, I didn't know this man, Delvaux.
Well, Johnny and I are partners. Anything concerns him concerns me. Look, sit down. Can I get you a drink? You look as though you could do with one.
No, thanks. We're here officially.
Now, where have I heard that before?
Look, the fact is, Dave, someone took a pot shot at one of your regular punters. Gerald Harvey.
Pot shot? To kill him, you mean?
You can tell me what else it looks like.
To get him?
No. They killed his chauffeur instead.
Poor bastard.
Harvey's making a big noise about it. He says he owes this club 10 grand and he was being pressured.
Oh, that old school ratbag. Why doesn't he stick to something?
What about your partner, Johnny Delvaux? Where is he?
He's out the country.
Whereabouts?
Vienna.
Where's he staying?
The Zacher.
It can be checked.
Oh, look. If you think he had anything to do with it, forget it. He won't even walk in the park for fear of crushing the grass. It's all I can do to stop him giving losers their money back.
Look, Dave, is it all right if I knows about a bit, talk to some of the staff? Nothing heavy.
Yeah, sure.
I'll be out in a few minutes, okay?
Okay. So long, Dave.
See ya. Sit down, Maggie. Have you been?
Fine. Kept busy.
I can imagine.
I didn't know you were involved in this place.
Now you do. And it's strictly legit. I've missed you, Maggie.
Me too.
How's Steve?
Coming up for his A-levels?
Still boxing?
No.
No, pity. Still. There you go. So, when do I see you again? Unofficially, of course.
I don't think that's a very good idea.
Oh, struth, Maggie. Look, that stolen jewellery business was all cleared up. I'm squeaky clean on this Harvey thing, and I can vouch for Johnny Delvaux. He wouldn't dare to cross me up. So what do you say? Oh. I can see they've warned you off.
They?
Oh, your boss, the law. Maybe even Jake, for all I know.
Isn't that?
Yes, it is. All right, Maggie, I know some funny old customers. You're bound to in this line of business. Doesn't make me a villain.
Come on, Dave. I know that. It's just that we were becoming too involved. I didn't feel I was in control anymore.
Oh, I see. And that would never do, would it? All right, look, I'll help your lot to clear up this Harvey mess. Got the good name of the club to think of. But if you've got any more questions, send one of the others, right?
I'll do that.
We had some good times, Maggie.
Yes.
And still could.
We'll be in touch.
I'll ring you sometime.
You want me? Hey, I've got Harvey's bird in the office.
so.
It's a high-class tart. Carriage trade. Cool with it. See what you think. This is Sergeant Fenton, Lottie. Black, no sugar.
Thank you. Hello.
Now then, Lottie, do many of your boyfriends run chauffeur-driven limos?
Quite a few. It's an essential qualification. One has standards.
And they, of course, have the money.
Money's a great comfort.
Depends how you earn it.
Now, wait just one moment, Sergeant.
Inspector?
You may address me as Miss Spencer. At first I found your rather obvious assumption that I'm some sort of trollop amusing, but now the joke's beginning to fray a little. A man's assumptions are the measure of his mind. Yours seem to be a little grubby.
Did you see anything of what happened this morning, Miss Spencer?
No, I didn't. I didn't even hear the shot. My flat's on the other side of the building overlooking the park. It was the porter who told me something had happened.
And have you known Gerald Harvey long?
Longer than I care to think. He used to take me out when I was a clumpy great deb. I did adore him for that. We've been great friends ever since. Oh, I know what they say about him, and he has got a bit tacky, especially in the kind of people he runs with now. But for me, a friend is a friend, always.
Why did he drop in this morning? Any particular reason?
He owed a gaming club some money, £10,000. He asked me if I could lend it to him.
And did you?
Of course, I told you he's a friend.
You weren't afraid you were kissing it goodbye?
I've lent him larger sums than that in the past. He's never failed to pay me back.
You seem different at all this morning. From other times, I mean.
Did seem a bit fraught. He kept talking about this man Delvo, made him sound like a gorilla. Said he was being rather pointed about his request that Gerald settled his account. So I gave him his cheque, and off he toddled, glowing like a stoplight.
Right. Thank you, miss.
Thank you. Sergeant?
Fenton.
Fenton. Well, if that's all, Inspector, time is money, you know, especially to us working girls.
We'll need all that in writing.
I'll just get some statement forms. Dropped a bit of a goolie there, sir.
Shut it, Sergeant. Just get Lady Muck's statement. It's occupied. Lottie Spencer.
Chanel, nice. Any help?
No, and the yard have got nothing on the dead man's lady love, Valerie Knight. She's no longer on the force, so they've no current address. He's not with her husband anymore either, but they did have his address.
Oh, well, that'll do. Unless you'd rather...
Well, be my guest. I'm waiting on a phone call.
Don't take your coat off. We're not stopping.
D.I. Croft. Hey, that's right, the Blue John Club, bang. Is he now? That is interesting. Right, thanks for the gent.
Well, what do you mean Connolly's mixed up in it?
Harvey owes a bundle to the Blue John Club. Now, he thinks the Blue John is behind the shooting. Connolly is part owner of it, and he'd been leaning on Harvey.
Yeah, I'll call you back, right? All right. Now get your spade out, but go gently, like very gently. I don't want Maggie embarrassed. Don't want to have to pull her off the case unless you come up with something solid. And I mean hammer-proof.
I'll tread on eggshells.
Preliminary pathologist report.
What's the gist?
Well, the angle of entry seems to mean the shot can only have been fired from somewhere high up in the block of offices opposite. They can't actually pinpoint the firing ground, but it'll take time.
Ask them to hustle it up, will you?
John Knight.
What do you want? Bisley, 1976, 198 out of a possible 200. And that was only because the wind changed on me last shot after I squeezed the trigger. You like a cuppa, would you, ma'am?
I've never had a civilian call me that before.
Ex-sergeant, military police. Besides, had a wife in your lot. Yeah, kicked her out. Best not talked about, reflects no credit. I'll just clear this lot away first. I was just cleaning it. Speck of grit in the barrel and put you 5 yards out.
Never mind about the tea.
You found it, have you?
Found what?
The gun that was nicked.
No, we haven't found any gun.
Well, what gun was this?
My other target rifle, the new 225. Fractionally bigger caliber than the old 22, terrific velocity and accurate to a pin's head. I mean, this one's good, but the 225, well, you could drive a nail into a plank at 300 yards. The Army's being completely re-equipped with them, you know.
And that's the weapon that's gone missing?
I take it both guns are licensed?
Naturally.
And you reported the theft?
Of course I did. Flat broken into at the back, gun covered full, straight round the local nick to let them know.
Anything else taken?
No, just the gun.
When was this?
A week ago.
Where were you at 11:30 this morning?
Out shopping. Why?
Anybody see it?
Half the shopkeepers in the parish. Why?
Do you know a man called Gerald Harvey?
Heard of him? Horrible little swine called Stan Chandler drives for him.
Yeah, well, somebody shot at Harvey this morning. Killed Chandler instead.
What? Terrific. Couldn't have happened to a more deserving cause. That was the bastard who split up me and me wife. She was in the military police when I met her, too. Provost branch of the Rex, Army family, I suppose you could say we were. Then I stepped on a mine in Ulster and I was invalided out. That's when Chandler stepped in. She joined the police, he was working in the same nick, and while I was fighting for a decent pension, he slipped in. Where'd he get it?
In the head.
Sorry to hear it. Too quick for him.
Well, Mr. Knight, we'll have to take you in for questioning and check your alibi. You understand that?
It would have been sloppy police work if you hadn't. Ready when you are.
And a rifle, too, if you don't mind.
Hold it. Shooting at Bisley again next week from the old team. That weapon's delicate. And tell your ballistic Wallace to treat it like a baby.
They'll know they're not handling rubbish. You got any more like that hidden away?
No, I've only ever had the two.
Fine. Let's go.
Look, I've had all this from Maggie Forbes. I don't need any aggravation from you.
Maggie Forbes? She's being very protective. You were meant to be my responsibility.
Protective? What's that supposed to mean? What was she protecting me against?
Oh, me, perhaps.
Oh, leave off. You're in the wrong league. I had nothing to do with killing Stan Chandler.
And we're all supposed to take your word for that. All right, where were you at 11:30 this morning?
I was at the bank, shoveling in more bread than you see in a year. And take it from me, they'll remember me.
Well, some of us are a bit particular how we earn our bread. And the money that Harvey owed you, what about that?
He's bringing it round this afternoon. Which, as I told Maggie Forbes, he couldn't do if he was dead.
And which he mightn't have done at all if you hadn't had his chauffeur shot as a warning.
Oh, come off it, Croft. You know that's not my style. Have I got any form? Ever been done for assault? I've never even been done for sus.
Not yet.
You know what I think's wrong with you?
I would be fascinated to hear your diagnosis.
I think that you fancy Maggie Forbes yourself.
Don't
and
be
it
so
sticks in
bloody
your
daft.
gut that I made some headway and you didn't.
You've been mixing with boxers too much. You are getting punchy. Well, now we've finished the psychiatric session, let's get back to the murder. Where's your partner, Delville?
On his way back from Vienna. He couldn't have had anything to do with it. Besides, as I told Maggie, the man hasn't got it in him. He couldn't hurt a fly.
But there are lots of people that couldn't hurt a fly. They still buy fly sprays.
Connolly?
Tell Mr. Delvaux I want to see him the minute he gets in.
Aye. Yeah. Look, I'll call you back. I've just seen your turn on. Dave Connolly.
Bit late, aren't you? I saw him an hour ago.
So he told me. What I'd like to know is how you got onto him.
You would, wouldn't you? Where's the coffee gone?
I put him through the grinder anyway. I mean, I thought you might have been a bit soft on him.
Is that the impression that he gave you?
Does his partner's alibi check out?
Yes. Now, why don't you do the same?
Has it occurred to you, Knight could have faked the theft of that gun and used it himself?
No, well, the thief getting in so easily made me wonder about that. But there is one thing against it.
What's that?
3 different shopkeepers put him in at least half a mile away from the murder spot at the exact time of the shooting. And Jake checked out his alibi. Cast iron.
What sort of man is he?
On the surface, a short back and sides, you horrible little man, NCO type. Underneath, I'm not so sure.
Did he tell you where his wife lives?
No, I don't know where she works.
Well, why did you go see her? Well, you never know. She may have let a skeleton out the closet.
Hello.
Can I help you?
Yes, I'd like to see Mrs. Knight.
I'm afraid she's out showing a client a house. She shouldn't be long if you care to wait.
Thanks. I'll call again.
Can I tell her anything?
Thanks all the same. Not there.
Where now?
Block of flats the gunman fired from. Let's see if forensics have turned up anything.
Right.
No, it's a good clear view of the street. You still have to be a pretty good shot, though. Forensics come up with anything?
Empty shell case, Mum, that's all. I heard them say it was a .225 caliber. First time I've heard of that one.
Stolen gun.
Gotta be.
Any fingerprints on the cartridge?
No, Mum. Well, thanks, Ian. Well, what I can't understand is why no one saw the sniper hanging about here.
This floor's been empty for some time, sir. As no one comes up here.
Well, whoever it was must have used the front door. Isn't there an entry phone?
Been broken a week now. Doors off the latch during the day, but iron bound most of the time, though.
So you'd have noticed anyone coming waving a rifle?
Yes, only didn't.
Well, did you see anyone odd in any way, kind of?
No, I thought he was odd, but he wasn't.
Well, what does that mean?
Well, there's one of these Hell's Angels coming on. I thought he was Hell's Angel. One of these black suits and visor down over his face. Then I realised he was one of these motorbike delivery services.
How did you know that?
He was carrying a great big dress box he was delivering.
Or did he speak?
No, just went straight upstairs.
Did you see him come out again?
No, you see, it wasn't long after that when the shooting started and all that confusion and running about. So I started to go downstairs to look.
Thank you very much for all your help. We'll get a statement from you later, okay?
Right.
Gun in the dress box.
What puzzles me is when he saw it missed, why didn't he have another go?
Well, no time. When using a target rifle, only load one shell at a time. Keep the balance as near perfect as possible. Well, you wouldn't have had a chance to reload it.
Oh, well, that makes sense. How come you know so much about guns?
Well, not just a pretty face, you know.
That's all right. Mr. James.
Look, Johnny, I know you. I know some of the strokes you used to pull in Sydney. Well, don't start bloody pulling them here.
What in hell are you talking about? Killing? That isn't my line.
No. But you're not about putting the frighteners on, are you? And near miss is a pretty good hint to someone to pay up. Only you're liable to hit somebody instead.
Have you gone off your trolley? You know I was in Vienna all week.
Well, I wouldn't expect you to pull the trigger yourself now, would I? There are people who can be paid to do that.
Ah, come
and if I was going to deal a hand like that, I'd make damn sure I was out of the country, too.
For the last time, I'm telling you, Dave, I didn't do it. I may be a lot of things, but I don't have anything to do with guns. I'm not stupid either. You scare one punter into paying up that way and we lose the rest of the clientele, right?
Right. I'm glad you see it that way.
Why'd you tell the police about me?
Well, what do you think? I made you sound like a cross between St. Francis of Assisi and Christopher Robin.
Who was asking the questions? Russell?
Maggie Forbes.
Now, look, you've had your say, I'm going to have mine. You knocking around with that detective bird is going to get us into what is generally known as Latrine Alley.
Look, don't start.
Like it or not, Dave, we got some pretty hairy clients. Sooner or later, one of them's going to get shot for something he's done. And who's he going to think dropped him in it? The guy who sleeps with the law.
But don't say any more. When I start picking your girls, you can pick mine. I haven't seen them in months. It's all over. At least, as far as she's concerned.
Well, let's hope so. It isn't good for business. What the hell?
I'm sorry, Mr. Delvo. He just barged in.
That's okay, Sandy. That's all he is, really. Just a bargee with a coat of gloss paint.
Sticks and stones may break my bones. Well, aren't you going to introduce me?
Never mind about that. Have you brought the money?
I told your girl on the phone that I'd drop it in this afternoon when I was discharging some other minor errands. There was no need for all that 1930s Chicago farce.
That had nothing to do with us.
We'd have hit you.
As far as I'm concerned, this settles it. I don't want to have anything more to do with your nasty little third-rate establishment. I shall take my habit elsewhere. And I don't want to see either of you again.
You won't, unless that check's a bouncer.
Cab, sir?
No, thank you. I am looking for a chauffeur, though.
No, thank you, sir. Don't like the odds very much.
Oh, all right. Suit yourself. If I have to live in a shooting gallery, I'd rather not be the target. Plays havoc with my wardrobe. Haven't slept a wink all night. So there you are at last. These people are losing your touch. Soon they'll be mounting heavy machine guns in Hyde Park.
Yes, well, I don't get myself shot at that much, do you, Inspector?
No,
I usually find that people who get themselves shot at have managed to get themselves disliked. Does anybody dislike you, Mr. Harvey?
Well, it's obvious, isn't it? I mean, whose club was that coming out of?
Yes, well, I'd have thought that was a cause of celebration, not murder.
Well, there's no need to be bloody offensive.
No, sorry, that's your monopoly, isn't it? Now, you told us that you'd repaid this debt. Why should anyone want to murder you?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's your job. All I know is that I want police protection. I want it rather...
Yes, well, we'll do our best as we would for anyone. My advice to you is go home, stay there.
Oh, fantastic. British policing at its best.
Mr. Harvey, I'd like to make one thing clear. We're not responsible for what happened to you. You know the kind of life you lead and the risks involved. We've got a duty to do, and we'll do it. So if you'd like to accompany the constable, let us get on with it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. My office? I don't enjoy being held accountable to a jumped-up spiff like Harvey, so let's get weaving. What we got? The bullet that nicked Harvey's arm was from the same gun that killed Chandler.
Fired from where? Could only have been from a car on the side of the street.
Well, any witnesses? Anybody hear the shot?
Well, the 225 doesn't make much noise, sir. Just a sort of crack. Could easily get lost in the traffic noise.
Oh, you're an expert on guns now.
Not me, sir.
Back to Knight's missing gun again. You let him go.
Had to. Nothing to connect him. And he had it on police record that the gun had been stolen from him.
Or was he tested for powder stains?
No point. Shoots all the time for his club.
It's a bit too bomb-proof for my liking. Bob, we'll have a word. Jimbo, I want you to go through that office block, door to door, see if anybody saw this character, this dispatch rider with his visor up. Maggie, Jake, get onto the army, check out the record, see if there's a link up.
Hang on to this?
Yeah, sure. Now, keep in touch. Bob, let's go.
All right.
Jack Forbes?
I take it you believe I'm not a hitman now.
Just routine, sir.
Nice routine you've got. Some nutter loose with a cannon. And that last shot at Harvey outside the club did nothing for trade. Who needs that kind of publicity? Anything I can do to help?
I appreciate that, Dave, I do, but this is police work.
I've cleared up a few of my own problems in my time without involving the law.
Didn't hear that.
Are all coppers hard of hearing, or just you, Maggie? I'm not going to make it that easy, you know.
Make what easy?
Giving me the brush.
Dave, did you send some flowers to me here at the office a while ago?
Yeah. Bought with honestly earned cash money. Why? Didn't you like them?
Yes, of course I did. They were beautiful. It's just that there was no card, and I didn't...
No more. Truckload of flowers with cards will be round first thing. When do I see you again? Out of office hours.
Dave, don't make this difficult for me. I've got a lot on my plate just now, and I thought that we'd agreed that...
Maggie, you must be short-sighted as well as deaf. I didn't send all those flowers around to please your mate Croft. You know how I feel about you. And like I said, I don't give up that easy. I'll phone you. Oh, and keep your head down.
Bad news?
Dunno. Where were we?
Ninth Army record.
Anything?
Yeah, I think we got something. He seems to have been a perfect soldier. In fact, he and his wife seem to have been a perfect army couple. They should have been on the recruiting posters. Talk about togetherness. She was even on the regimental shooting team with him.
What?
Well, she was a marksman, first class, rated, and pretty with it.
So if Valerie Knight had an affair with Gerald Harvey and he dumped her... Right. Let's see if the lady's in today.
Sir, you're a bit of a crack shot, Mr. Knight.
Yeah, always had an eye, sir.
You can drop the sir. But you've no idea who could have taken the gun?
No, everyone knew I had him.
This gun cabinet, not exactly easy to break open, would you say?
No, strict regulations, by the book, made of metal fastened to the wall. Yeah. Someone very determined.
You didn't leave this door unlocked by any chance, did you, Mr. Knight?
No, I always keep it locked.
You see, the damage to the door is superficial. It's as if it was done from inside as a cover-up. You do see what I'm driving at, don't you, Mr. Knight?
Not really, no.
You know what I'd say? I'd say someone either picked that lock to get through that door or they used a key. I don't think that door's being forced at all. Would you say that was a reasonable working assumption, Mr. Knight?
Well, I couldn't really say.
Oh, come on, Mr. Knight. You were a copper yourself. I mean, the system is the same in the military police, isn't it? Except you can take a few more liberties than we can. Now, as a trained man, you must have formed some sort of opinion.
Well, it's a bit different when you're involved personally, isn't it?
Oh, is it? Are you trying to tell me you hadn't noticed what the inspectors noticed about that door?
Your own men didn't notice it either.
It was mentioned as a possibility in one of the reports. Mr. Knight, what I'd like you to do is to let your imagination wander. Let's suppose a key was used. Who'd be likely to have access to one?
Oh, well, I can think of.
I can think of someone straight away. Husbands and wives. They both usually have a set of keys, don't they?
I suppose they do, yes.
When you shipped her out, did she take her keys?
Front door, yes. Back door, I can't remember.
Now, there's a distinct possibility in my mind that you faked the theft of that gun yourself, used it on Gerald Harvey.
Ah, that's ridiculous.
Or your wife took it for the same reason.
She's
using
no
a key that
reason
she
to
kept
shoot
when you elbowed
anyone.
her. She had it off with this geezer Chandler. Now, during that time, she could have met Harvey. He's a very
Yeah,
plausible...
she did keep her key to the
That's
back
better.
door. But she wouldn't need a rifle if she wanted to shoot
Oh.
anyone. She's got a licensed .32 pistol. She competes for a West End club team, full bore.
Where's she work?
Hallwoods, the estate agents in the West End, Taverton Street.
Let's go.
Yes. Yes, I realise it's only a very short lease, but there's every chance of renewal, and the price includes fixtures and fittings. Well, if you could let me know what you decide as soon as possible. I've got 2 other clients interested in the property. Thank you. Goodbye. Stupid cow. What is it?
That lady that was here yesterday, she's back with a gentleman.
Did they say what they wanted?
Just to see you. I don't think they're clients.
Yes, well, you better show them in.
Would you like to go through now?
Mrs. Knight?
Yes. Thank you, Pauline. I gather you were trying to get hold of me yesterday.
Yes, that's right.
How can I help you?
Police officers, Mrs. Knight. Sergeant Barrett, Inspector Forbes.
Oh.
We're making some inquiries into the death of Stan Chandler, and we'd like to ask you a few questions.
Yes, of course. Won't you sit down?
Stan Chandler was shot yesterday morning. You may have read about it in the newspapers.
No, I hadn't, actually.
You don't seem to care much.
I don't.
I'm surprised.
Why?
According to your husband, you and he were lovers.
It was over. Nearly a year ago.
You must have some feeling left for him.
None whatsoever.
What about Gerald Harvey?
What about him?
Well, did you ever meet him while Stan Chandler was driving for him?
Yes, he gave me a lift. Once or twice, as I remember.
You know, some people would call Gerald Harvey an attractive man.
Yes, but they wouldn't include me.
So you never got involved with him at all?
What are you inferring? I'm not a promiscuous woman. Stan Chandler was just one of those things, a mistake, if you like.
Where were you at 11:30 yesterday morning?
I was showing a property to a client.
And at 4:30 yesterday afternoon?
The same.
I presume you have the names and addresses of these clients.
No, they were people who came in on the spur of the moment.
Yes, but you must have made a note of their names and addresses for future references.
No, some people prefer not to give their names and addresses for various reasons, or maybe they were just time wasters. We get a lot of those.
I see. Well, Mrs. Knight, if you wouldn't mind coming down to the station with us and making a statement, it would be a great help.
Is that necessary?
Afraid so.
Very well, I'll get my coat.
Do you mind? Well, it's hardly my colour. The box might ring a few bells.
Let's take it with us. Mrs. Knight.
I've got to go out, Pauline. I may not be back by 6, so lock up for me, will you?
You're supposed to see the Lloyds about that flat in Chiswell Street.
Yes, well, make my excuses, will you? Good night.
Good night.
Stop the car. Stop the car! Get out.
It's Mrs. Knight, armed, unstable. She's got Maggie in Maggie's car.
Well, what the hell went wrong?
What? Get it.
He deserved to die.
Just because Gerald Harvey treated you badly.
If I'd been aiming at Gerald Harvey, I'd have killed him.
You mean you meant to kill Stan Chandler?
Of course.
Why?
It was a bastard. He was a sly, deceitful, cunning bastard. He started the affair, but I wanted it. He wrecked my marriage. He wrecked it. He got me thrown out. Then he dropped me for that blonde cow with her brains in her bra. You keep still.
So you shot at Harvey to make us think that he was still the target.
Harvey. What does Harvey matter? What does he matter? I was pregnant by Chandler. And he made me have an abortion. He was too mean to pay for a decent doctor. And they made a mess of me. So he leaves me for that blonde bitch. Then he goes back to that pathetic wife of his until the next affair. Only there won't be a next affair. Not for Stan.
Did you know his wife was 8 months pregnant?
No. He was rotten. He was rotten. I was obsessed with him. He was always on my mind. Last thing at night, first thing in the morning. He was always there. So I decided to do something about it. And do you know the most ironic thing of all? The second he died, I knew I was still in love with him. And I'm still obsessed with him.
Valerie, look,
Get out!
Valerie, this is...
Get out!